Today is a good day. We're going to walk you through how to build your new Chromag bike. You can rest assured your bike has been poured over with pride. Threads are chased, seat tubes are reamed, head tubes are honed, fits are checked and checked again, all to make sure when you get your bike, everything is absolutely dialed. Your bike has already been completely assembled by one of our extremely talented mechanics. It has been slightly disassembled simply to fit into a box. All the tricky setup has been done. We'll go over what you need to do in this video. It's worth mentioning, if you don't know which way around your rotor should go, or if you have to Google Newton meters, you should probably get your local bike shop to check over your work before sending it blindly off your favourite jump. You will need 5 and 6mm Allen keys, a T25 Torx tool, a torque wrench with the attachments, some grease, and a bike stand will make this a lot easier. Hardtails will come with both wheels removed, as well as the fork, front rotor, chain and derailleur removed. Dual suspensions will come with the front wheel removed, as well as the fork and front rotor. The rear wheel will still be installed. Bar, stem and controls will be removed on both hardtails and dual suspension. Step 1. Open the box and remove the packaging from the bike. Putting the frame in a bike stand will make it much easier to work on. Clamp it under the dropper post collar on the outer tube, not on the stanchion. You may need to raise the post out of the frame, which can be done by loosening the seat post collar with a 5mm Allen key. Pull up gently and retighten to 6 Nm. Next, identify you have all the parts: wheels, fork, bar, stem, grips, headset spacers, rotors, rotor bolts, and in the case of hardtails, a 12-speed chain with a quick link. Step 2. Make sure to have the bar, stem, headset spacers and top cap ready and accessible before installing the fork. Grease the crown race, then slide the fork steerer through the head tube. Note, the headset cups have already been pressed into the frame. Depending on how you like your stack height, adjust how many spaces go above and below the stem. Tighten down the top cap until snug and you can't rotate the spacers underneath the stem. You could also use a torque wrench to tighten to around 3 to 4 Nm. Then tighten the stem down to 8 Nm. Note, the order in which you tighten these is very important. Step 3. Install the rotor on the front wheel using the 6 rotor bolts. Start by hand, then tighten down in a star pattern with a T25 Torx. Tighten to 7 Nm. Try to avoid touching the braking surface of the rotors if possible. For hardtails, you will need to install the rear rotor as well. If there are 2 different rotor sizes, put the bigger rotor on the front. Take note which way around they should go. The brake caliper will have already been aligned by our mechanics. Simply remove the fork axle, add a small amount of grease, insert the wheel making sure the rotor goes in between the brake pads, then install the fork axle. Tighten with a 6mm Allen key and torque to between 9 and 13.5 Nm. For hardtails, you will also need to install the rear wheel. First of all, install the derailleur onto the UDH hanger and tighten to between 8 and 9.6 Nm with a 6mm Allen key. Make sure the B tension screw is hard up against the stop on the hanger. Install the rear rotor using the same method as the front. The cassette is already installed. Setting the derailleur to its slack position will make installing the rear wheel much easier. Remove the rear axle with a 6mm Allen key and add a small amount of grease to the axle and threads. Slot the rear wheel into the rear dropouts, making sure the rotor is between the pads, then reinstall the axle and tighten to 10 Nm. Step 4. Now it's time to install your controls. This includes brakes, dropper remote and gear shifter. Install the rear brake first. Open the clamp and slide over the bar on the right side approximately 25mm inbound from the grip. Tighten to 4 Nm. Repeat the process on the other side. If you run your brakes the other way around, now would be a fantastic time to address that. For hardtails, you will need to install the chain. Before install, make sure the derailleur is in the highest or hardest gear. If you haven't done so already, pull the derailleur cage forward and rest it on the stop button. This will make it a lot easier to install the chain. Remove the chain from packaging and feed it onto the drivetrain. Make sure it goes over the cassette and through the derailleur correctly. Run the other end over the front ring and then pull the chain together and install the quick link in the correct orientation. Slowly spin the cranks backwards until the quick link is on top of the chainstay. Hold the rear brake and push down on the crank. You should hear and feel a click. Perform a visual check to make sure the quick link has clicked into place. The derailleur has already been set up, but it doesn't hurt to run through the gears while the bike is in the stand. This is easier to do with pedals on. Step 5. Remove the bike from the stand and check the handlebars align perpendicular with the front wheel. If not, loosen the stem bolts and adjust until straight. Tighten the stem back to 8 Newton meters. To make sure the headset is tight, apply the front brake and rock the bike forwards and backwards, feeling for play in the headset. If there is play, loosen the stem bolts and tighten the top cap bolt until snug and play is removed. Use a measuring device to check the brake distance from your grips. You can also check the angle of your brake levers. Remember to undo the bolts before moving them and retighten back to 4 Newton meters. Tyres have already been seated with sealant installed. Simply inflate them to your desired pressure. We recommend you use a pressure gauge, as gauges on pumps aren't that accurate. This can be the difference between a good ride and a great ride. Attach your favourite pair of pedals using the supplied pedal washers. Grease the threads and torque to between 35 and 40 Newton meters using a 6mm or 8mm Allen key depending on the model. Don't forget, the left pedal has a left-hand thread, which can get confusing when installing from the opposite side of the crank. Just take your time and don't force anything. Set your seat height using a bench or wall to hold you upright. Adjust as needed and tighten back to 6 Newton meters. Having a colleague help you here will make things a lot easier. Check your dropper post is functioning up and down smoothly. If the seat clamp is too tight, it may get stuck, or if the post slips in the frame, the seat clamp is too loose. You're pretty much done. Go for an easy pedal outside and be sure to bring a multi-tool. Check that everything is tight and working smoothly. There are entire books on how to set up your suspension, but a great place to start is the SRAM Trailhead app. Give yourself a pat on the back for building your bike yourself. If you're not confident in any of the work you've performed, we strongly recommend you getting your local bike shop to look it over for you. You won't regret it. Now get out there and go riding.
I'm not too used to